Okay, so in this screencast, I'm going to attempt to explain how to set up this feedback and accountability workflow. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you read through this document and to kind of see what this is all about and why you might want to pursue this. If you go to the What You Will Need section, you'll notice I've linked several documents that you can use yourself as templates. They are in view-only mode, so you'll want to make copies for yourself when you open them up. But it's a good idea to make these documents before you get started. So we have a progress report document, we have an evidence of effort document, we have a responses spreadsheet that will allow you to modify a form, and we also have a new spreadsheet, and I can show you those over here. Here is our evidence of effort sheet. It's very simple. The kids will be using this to add material that they've shown that they have practiced a certain skill. The progress report is a second document that you will create, and although you can use my own, by no means do you really need the interest survey. That's just something I wanted to put on for myself. The only thing I would suggest that you keep is the link to the evidence of effort, which the kids will take the link from their evidence of effort and put it on here later, and I'll show you when that happens. We also have a form, and I can't share a form directly, so I've shared the back end of the form, the responses spreadsheet. If you go to the form right here and you go to edit form, you can actually take a look at the questions I have. So I've got simply a question for them to pick the document with their name, and that will be updated through an add-on later. I've got a question for them to reflect on the past couple of weeks, and I've got a question for them to set some goals for the upcoming weeks, and that's it. So how about I get started? I'm going to scroll down here to how to set it up and try to kind of walk you through the process to the best of my ability, and I hope this makes sense. So, oh, and by the way, I made a master holding document which just kind of holds the links to all of my different classes. I found it easier than trying to search for these things in Drive because they all have very similar names. So, the first step is to make sure you have your classes set up in Google Classroom, and you're going to send an assignment called Evidence of Effort to your class. So if I go into my Google Classroom, I have a test class that I've created, and I'm going to create a new assignment called Evidence of Effort. And I simply will, you don't really need a due date, to be honest, unless you want to make sure that the kids do it within a specific time frame. And you want to add the Google Drive item called Evidence of Effort. Alright, so remember, I've already made this ahead of time, so it's ready to go. And when you share it, you want to share it so that the students, so that they make a copy for each student. It's very important that each student has their own copy. So you'd click that, and then you would hit assign. And I'm not going to hit it myself since I've already done this with my classes, but that's how you would distribute it to the class. Okay. The next step is your students will open that assignment, and they will essentially see this. And all you want them to do is to copy the URL at the top of their screen and save it for the next step at this point. Okay. So now I'm on to step 2, setting up the progress report. Very, very similar. I'm going to once again create a new assignment. I'm going to call it progress report. and I'm going to attach the progress report template that I already made. Alright, so I've got one, and once again, make sure you share it so that there's a copy for each student, and then hit assign. Once that's done, on their home screen for the students, they will see the assignment, ask them to open that up, and they will now see the progress report like this. And now they can paste in the link to their evidence of effort that they got from this assignment. So I did this on the first, second day of class. I made both of these assignments at the same time and kind of walked them through these steps. In addition to that, I had them kind of do a quick little interest survey. They added a picture of themselves so I could quickly see whose document belonged to whom. But really, you don't need to do any of that if you don't want to. The progress report is really the most important document in this entire workflow, because everything that the students say in terms of reflections and goals ends up on this document, as well as everything that I end up grading on a rubric will end up on this document. So that is that step. The next step, one last thing I should remember to say is that the students should submit the assignment on Classroom. So once they've filled out the information on their survey, have them hit submit. Over here, there will be a button for them to hit submit. What this does is it stops them from having editable access to the document so that they don't, mess up the script or modify what they've said on it. However, on the evidence of effort, you do not want them to submit the document because you want them to keep edit access, because they will manually add material to this document as they do it. So now I'm on to step 3, setting up your form. So this is back over here. Once again, I went to the form, edit form, and this popped up. You can keep what I have or change the questions to suit whatever you're doing, and that's your form. If you go to view live form or send form, you will get the URL that you're going to want to share with your students, but don't share that quite yet until you finish this whole process. The URL that you share with them, you could share that on Classroom or on a class website, and that's how the students will actually fill out the form. Okay, so you're going to want to install the add-on Doc Appender, and the way that works is you go to the add-ons section. Once you can only access this particular add-on from within the form. It will not work if you try to access it from within the spreadsheet. And you go to the add-ons, and I already have these installed, but if you didn't have it installed, you just simply go to Get Add-ons, and you could search for Doc Appender up here and install it. Okay. Once it's installed, I'm going to open the sidebar here, and you want to associate the question with the correct folder. So what happens is, let me click on this, loading right now. What you should see is a question that asks you to associate this question with a form in Google Drive. And when all your students opens the progress report from Classroom, it made a folder where all of their progress reports were saved. So that is the folder that you're going to want to associate with this question. I don't know why this isn't. Let's try choosing a different folder. Okay, so once again, you would open this up and you would find a folder where all of the items are saved, and you'd click that folder. And so what that does is it will populate all of these choices from the files that exist within that folder. So that's a very important step. This basically allows the students to append their responses to a specific document that is theirs as opposed to somebody else's. So doc appender. So I went over that. You can use the share this link and hold off on sharing. Let's now take a look at the next step, which is to create the parent communications. Now I'm in the response sheet that correlates to the form. And on this, I need to have a few other add-ons, one of which is called copy down, and the other of which is called formule. Once again, go to add-ons, get add-ons if you don't have them, but if you've already installed them once, you have them already. So I am going to take a look at copy down, and what this does is it simply copies a function from row 2 down every time a new submission is sent. So it's looking at formula row 2, and it's seeing that in cell F2 there's this formula VLOOKUP B2 parent emails, and essentially what the VLOOKUP does is it goes to this tab below, and you will have populated this list already. You want to have all of your student email addresses and all of your parent email addresses, and it takes a look at the student email address, it matches it with the username when the kid submitted, and then it will pull in the matching parent email from the list. So this is example student 1, pulls in example parent 1, both of which were on this this sheet. Okay, so that's all you need to do. You hit save, and every time somebody submits, that formula will be copied down to the next cell and the next cell, etc. The next thing I want to install is the formule. Let me open that up. This is where you can create a template which will be used to send information to the parents. So first of all, select the sheet that contains your email addresses and merge source data. That would be form responses, which is the main sheet. I would like it to trigger on form submit, and I also usually put it on a time trigger in case, for example, I have a typo in the email address and it didn't send the first time. I can correct it, and then the time trigger will send it again later. So I usually do it on a day, anytime, maybe at the middle of the night or something, so it kind of happens when you're not looking. So you can modify that however you'd like. The rest of this you can kind of leave as it is. Then I'm going to go to the templates, and you only need one unique template, and you don't have to really touch anything here. Basically, this is saying I'm always going to email parents. There are no conditions to send to parents sometimes or not send at other times. That would be a different case usage. I'm going to hit Save Template Settings, and once it finishes, hit Edit Templates. This is really where most of the work comes in. You are going to want to create a template. So you'll notice you have merge tags down here. All of these merge tags come from the headers of the columns in your form responses, right? So you have like the username, you have the reflection and the goals, you have the parent email. And so in my email to parents, obviously I want to send it to the email address parent email. So all I did was I clicked my cursor in here and then hit parent email. My reply to was my own email address. Subject, your child has updated his or her goals. In the body, I put a little explanation about why they're seeing this email and what's going on. And at the end, I put 2 more variables, which include the reflection and the goals. And so preview and send all. If you've done it correctly, you'll see all of the form. You will see everything as it should be. So my first parent was example parent 1 at blah blah, reply to, and if there was actually reflection and goal that has been submitted, you would see that here as well. Okay, and so I'm just gonna hit cancel on this. That's how you set up the parent communication. And once you set that up, it's basically ready to go. The only time you might need to fix something is you can see these send status, which is very nice. It will say, for example, if something doesn't work, it'll give you an error. If you delete that, then next time the trigger runs, it will try to send that row of information again. Occasionally I get bounces back with email if I have a typo in the parent emails, for example. And so I'll come back in here and delete the send status of that. I'll make sure I fix the email on the parent emails, and then at midnight that night it will send again to that parent whose email I've now fixed. Okay, so that is the parent communications section. And let's see, the last step is setting up the rubric system. This you actually need to make a new spreadsheet. So here I've created an untitled spreadsheet. It's all new. The add-on I need for this is Doctopus. Once again, install it if you don't have it. Otherwise, you're going to launch it. Oh, sorry, I should have mentioned one other thing. Make sure you install Gubrick, which is not an add-on. It's actually an extension. Kind of confusing. So if you just type in Gubrick, you'll come to the Gubrick web launcher on the Chrome Web Store, and make sure that you have installed this Gubrick web app launcher to your Chrome account first. And then you can do this next step. So here I have Doctopus on the side. Selecting a roster, I'm going to ingest Google Classroom assignment. I click on that, and it will ask me to find the assignment that I created. So let's see, I did it in my test class. Click on that. Oh, I didn't actually submit the assignments in the very beginning, so you don't see here, but I think you get the idea. You'll see the assignment. You want to click on the progress report assignment, not the evidence of effort assignment. Okay, and then you're just going to hit ingest. And once you do that, you will then have more options, which you can't see right now. That was short-sighted of me. Okay, so here's a class I've actually made. Let me open this up, and you can see what this will look like. Okay, so I've already ingested the classroom assignment, and now I can see that I can change the Gubrick. You'll see this button for Gubrick, and if you click on that, it will ask you to import a rubric that you've saved in your drive. The rubrics essentially look like here, let me show you that. The rubrics look like this. So you simply have the criteria in column A, and you have numbers that correspond to the attainment level, right? So I have 3, 2, 1, or you could do 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter the order. And then you have a little description in each, just like you would with a rubric. So make sure you do that in a spreadsheet. Once you have done that, you're going to want to go back here. You click on one of the rubrics that you've used, and it will associate it. So that's basically all you need to do to set it up. Now let me briefly talk about how to use the Gubrick system. So if I click on the link, this will go to one of the students' progress reports. You can see this person has put in the link to their evidence of effort, and I won't scroll. I'll scroll down, and you can see where their reflection and goals have been appended. You can see where I have added feedback on a rubric. It's also been appended. And here's another reflection and goal that the student has used. So every time they fill out that form, it gets added to this document. And so if I want to grade it now, if I click up here, this little Gubrick icon, the form comes back, and I can see the original document down in this bottom area. Let me de-zoom. Okay, so essentially what you see here is the rubric up here. All of the criteria are up here, and you can see the selectors 3, 2, 1. You can just click them and they go in there. You can put in the comments, and so it's a really nice way to quickly get feedback. When you hit submit, you can also email the scores directly and auto advance to the next student. And so that is how you use Gubrick to grade the progress report. So that's it. I'm sure I've talked way too long. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you for your time.